So you've been at this workshop for 10 days now. This is the 10th day, so this is the very last day, and we have the opening tonight. Tell me a bit about how the three of you began to collaborate.
Well, it started out on a Facebook, which was preliminary to the workshop, where everybody being able to kind of not make like their set proposal, because you don't really get to a workshop where you want to collaborate with a very set idea with a strong amount of ownership. It doesn't really work. So just like themes of interest and where you want to go to, and then some dialogue started there with Sarah, who was also part of the team, who had to leave, unfortunately. And that sort of then developed into becoming more of a personal interaction, coming here. And yeah, all of a sudden we had a team.
I jumped on board when we hit Siege Studio and we were ordering equipment. And just checked in with the team to see what their initial thoughts were at that stage. But it was more a fusion of different skills and capabilities, and I think that's where it's been a really great team, having fashion, understanding of more the tech side of things. Sarah, bringing the dyes and her experiment she's done with materials. So,
and then you've really worked on organising your.
What do you each individually bring to the collaboration?
Well, I guess my background is interaction design, IT and illustration as well. Daniel has actually quite a similar disciplinary background, but maybe more on the industrial design side.
Yeah, that's right. But well, when it comes to concept, it's very equally, and therefore it's quite a pleasure to work with. So we both can develop or bring the concept further, and then it's very interesting to see how it actually goes into the, let's say, soft program part and into the 3D hardware part within the same idea, maybe same. So you can really see the same constraints basically from the concept, and this fits nicely together, I guess. So we both discussing and working on, either side, like on the software side or the program side, and how this thing will behave afterwards, and how it should look like.
One of the interesting things I think about this workshop is the way that various people have brought different things to the table in terms of what they've produced. What is it that you both bring to this particular project that is different and the same?
Emma comes from more of a sort of design background. I come from more of a fine art background. That said, we both sort of cross over quite a bit. On the sort of conceptual side of things, I'm sometimes more, I guess, have spent more time sort of working in conceptual artwork and stuff, whereas on the practical sort of, particularly on the sort of tech side of things, she's done more stuff, but once again we sort of cross over. In some respects, because we've worked together in the past, maybe it's been more adventurous of us to kind of work with other people. As it's happened, we've ended up working together, which is fine, but I think it's been great, and it's nice to do something that's really sort of hands-on again, and and to be in a space with lots of other people coming from really varied backgrounds is really nice.
What has been surprising about the collaborations that you've seen in this workshop and in the last one?
What's been surprising?
Unexpected.
Just the richness, I think, is what's overwhelming. That people are really, once people are having fun and enjoying doing something, they're really motivated. They want to get results, and I think by not having the pressure of a real exhibition after 10 days, but just this kind of, let's just share our prototypes at the end of the 10 days. So they have a goal, but it's not as heavy as if you were really pushing people to have a full exhibition. You'd be cutting corners on what your concept is. So here it's wherever you're at, that's what we're going to show at the end of 10 days. And then and so I discover things about people. You know, they might have been brought in their portfolio has such and such a skill set, and then you just discover so much about their backgrounds, or and it's all of those incidental conversations that happen when you have a durational kind of commitment and time spent together, which if you're working collaboratively, and it's always let's have a meeting, there's such a frame around that there's you know, we're doing really long hours, the music's playing, and it's really nice when the energy level comes up and down, the food arrives, and this kind of catering to the flow of energy. Anyone who's teaching understands that dynamic can make or break something, and the structure of a university system where people have got to click in and click out of gear in and out of classes and in and out of spaces, it might keep their attention level by changing rooms, but at the same time it may not be the only way of operating. So the most surprising things are how much I learn and how excited I am. I'm very keen to get to work every day to do this kind of research, and learning and life should be like that, really, shouldn't it? I mean, it's pretty natural to want to engage and learn about new things and think about how we can make a better future and understand the world around us.
There have been various levels of collaboration. We've had teams of 3 or 4 people, or Daniel and Jared, for instance, a team of 2. You've worked on this particular prototype on your own. And there have been a couple of people, including myself, who've worked on our own projects. How have you found working on your own as opposed to what you've observed about the collaborations that are happening around you?
Reflecting back on the 10 days, I do wish I had someone to collaborate with, just for pure, the base level, just for time. It's been very, very packed with activities and with things for us to achieve and do in those 10 days. It's been great fun. It's been fantastic. I'm certainly looking forward to the next one. But I think better planning and a better team around the kind of group work is all that around a resolution, a art piece, a product, whatever it is beneficial, I think, in this kind of workshop. Taking it on by myself, the difficulty, it's a very pragmatic one, but is, you can't keep that level of energy up for 10 days, and as soon as you lose that level of energy, then work stops. There's no one there to support you, no one there to encourage you, no one there to bounce ideas off or anything. There are all the other people you can chat to, but they're all busy doing their own stuff as well, so you're not always able to just sit down and have a chat with them. So that's the hardest thing, is pooling those resources together to be able to and the skill sets that different people might have into one design, to have a really nice, a beautiful, impressive design at the end of it. I'm happy with where I'm at, but there's certainly things that I'd love to improve on it. There are certain things that are not functioning like I'd want it to at this point. But as a showpiece, I'm happy with it. So it's about, I think, starting earlier and getting a team much earlier before the session, and then I think there's certainly enough time in a team of 2, 3, 4 to do something really, outstanding.
Were you able to identify what your different sort of strengths were at that early stage, or was it just worked out much more intuitively?
I think it was more intuitive.
Yeah. I mean, it was quite clear for myself. I'm more interested in the system, and also like in the values, working with some plants and getting these kind of data and how these data sets can then work. So it's more coming from a fashion point of view. So she's got the capability to actually transfer that into something which is aesthetically meaningful. So that was kind of clear, and then everything else just sort of like worked itself.
Yeah, I think we've worked well. as a group. For me personally, I was happy to sit down and learn a bit more about processing or learn more about how to program Arduinos, but that wasn't the purpose of this workshop for me. It was to collaborate and to mix with people from different disciplines and to see what we could kind of pull together, because you can always do a lot more obviously as a group.
Yeah, I actually thought that I would be learning more about programming, but I was happy not to. I was happy to have somebody who already knew it, so it could facilitate the final product.
Yeah.
You don't have to know everything.
No.
That's the great thing about collaborating.
Did you have an idea of what you were going to work on before you arrived?
Not really. Well, yeah, vague. I mean, it was somewhat different. We planned sort of a neck piece that was possibly going to have fans, and that when it got above a certain temperature, they turn on. And sort of we were thinking sort of make it sort of Victorian-esque, like sort of quite sort of over the top and flamboyant. But yeah, I don't know. There was something. We quite wanted something that aesthetically we felt was strong, and we didn't. I don't know. It kind of seemed fun and playful, but just a little bit too anecdotal. Like, okay, it heats up, you get cooled down. Whereas, yeah, we've ended up sort of, I guess, moving away from that and going towards playing with this idea of being an animal in some sense, and sort of giving out a mating call. Is our idea really, that just as like when animals flare up, what we hope is that with our piece, that when you open up your chest and point your head back, that's when the piece will really sort of come to life, so to speak.
Is this situation very different from what you would usually do in how you work normally?
Not really. I mean, I normally work collaboratively and usually find it quite easy to work with other people. It's always good to work with, it's good to work with someone where you have similarity, but also you have your own strengths as well. And I think that really gives you a nice kind of, there's a space to kind of come together and collaborate there, but each person feels that they're really bringing something into it. That's actually quite important for collaboration. So, I mean, I think it's nice to always have these kind of partnerships. Yeah.
What are your main differences in terms of what you bring to it?
Different strengths.
Yeah, I think my perception is that Daniel is much better able to hook into the physical form. Starts thinking very quickly about, okay, what's this going to sort of be like as a thing, and I guess I'm more think about how is it going to behave, what's the software going to be. Maybe I start more abstract, he starts more concrete, and we sort of go back and forth between those two ways of working, but it's not a strict separation either, because we're talking to each other the whole time.
Well, yeah, it's called actually the workshop, designing experiences, isn't it? So, and it's what it is about. What we have in common is then what is the user experience afterwards, and this has to be designed on both sides. Yes, so that it all together forms one experience to not only a single user, but in our case now for a whole group of users. And how would they actually feel if they were able to use this product?
In this particular project, what particular gaps in skills have you noticed in the production of this or in the development of this?
Firstly, the technical skills in the Arduino and that kind of so that kind of technical skills, I'm still learning that. That certainly wasn't around when I was going through, as an undergraduate or a postgraduate student. The second area, so that's a big area that I just knew very little about. The second area is just skills in itself of like making things. I've practiced design ever since finishing school, and I still practice design. I run a design company, but the way that I run it is I do the design conceptualization and then talk to experts in engineering to make it made, or in manufacturing to get it, So I will liaise with the experts in the right fields to get a product out to market, or whatever it is. We don't have that luxury here. You're doing it all by yourself, and so even simple things like creating this, out of acrylic, you kind of have to go back and go, wow, okay, I have to, laser etch this, I have to interact with a software that I'm not familiar with anymore, it's moved on, it's changed, and yeah, I think I have an idea of how to form this, but I don't have the skill sets to do it. It sounds like I know the concept of how to do it, but actually doing it is another thing. So, so just skills, just crafting things I haven't done in a long while. I teach it and I practice it, but like I said, in teaching, the students are learning those skills in that world, and in my practice, I'm liaising with the experts in that area to get it done. So, just reflecting on that, I'd love to just pick up, some of those things again. It's kind of exciting and fun to do that.
Most of the people who are involved don't have much opportunity for. A couple of the people who have been working have commented that, wow, I haven't actually done something practical for quite a long time, because they're busy writing papers, they're busy, and they're almost surprising themselves, and you can see that they're not sort of confident to touch things again, because they end up in this estranged world where everything's mediated through the computer screen. So doing some really physical stuff is a nice way to break that down. And then the things that go wrong and the things that you don't expect often are the source of wonderful new projects, and everybody's work's been affected by everybody else. So the ideas that have dropped in from, we had a session where everyone presented their work, and you could really see the resonance of, we use a structure called circle workshops, and so if someone wants to show somebody something, we'll put it into a forum where we'll open it up to others to participate. And that, I don't know what's going to happen when someone says they're going to teach something or other. But then you see people applying that in different ways in their projects. So that's also quite organic, quite an organic learning process.
One of the things I wanted to ask you was your role in this whole thing, which has been vital really in bringing it together, is as a connector of all of these various different parts that have come together. And can you tell me a little bit about how that might relate to your own artistic practice?
Sure. It's, even when I reflect on my teaching, it's very similar to my whole style of teaching is very similar to my practice, because I do enjoy working on projects where I involve community, and it's not a kind of trying to choose something that involves community, but it's actually using a language, using materials, using things that the people who are going to engage with that have some real response to, and I don't know what that is until I go and learn that from them. So I guess I used to find, as a student, I found critique sessions horrific. They were like personal attack on my taste or something, and I just needed people to to believe why I'd made a decision. It might be the wrong decision, but if people could understand how I got there, and it was really very difficult, and that is completely the opposite, because I realise what I make, I know nothing about it until I put it in front of different eyes with different perspectives, with different knowledge, and see what they say or see what their reaction is. And certainly from art school days to taking my work and my practice into different cultures and different contexts completely, I learned so much about myself and my, what I don't know about the world.
Sitting along the bed's edge, where you curled the papers from your hair or clasped the yellow soles of feet in the palms of both soiled hands.